I can't quite believe this, what Andrea Stella said this morning, especially in the vein under the umbrella heading of optimising for Lando Norris's performance, because each and every single time I see Andrea Stella, team principal of McLaren, I admire that fella. Why? Well, because he has this broad perspective. He's one of those dudes that's more invested in processes than he is outcomes. And you've got to love that, right? That has to be the modus operandi of any team principal. No, any senior member of any F1 team, if they were invested in race wins and championship victories. Because that's the way that you extract the best out of your team, and that you extract the best out of your car. No, lap time is what they are after. So many times I hear team principals and senior members saying that, yeah, they want to do this, they want to do that, but ultimately they're not talking about the parameters within which they can optimize their performance. Hence why when Andrea Stella said that so many cycles ago on the Beyond the Grid podcast, I was invested, bought in. This dude is the Pep Guardiola of Formula One, is he not? Ergo, I would attribute some of, not if not all of McLaren's success in 2024 to that dude. He has a god tier F1 mind, and it is because of that why I am so surprised this morning. This makes no sense. In an interview with Sky Sports F1, and Andrea Stella, team principal of McLaren, was assessing the season that is 2024. He had this to say. The question was put forth as follows. Do you want to congratulate Max Verstappen on his achievements? Stella responded in earnest. Yes, 100%. To be honest, we congratulated Max even when he was winning races in Brazil, and this because it's fair play. It's fair play to a great champion, fair play to one of the best drivers in history as far as Formula One is concerned. Now, hang on a second, that's all true, right? I can say that because I'm just a noddy B-spec F1 YouTuber, but Andrea Stella has skin in the game. Imagine your Lando Norris looking at this, interpreting these comments from the guy who's meant to be 10 toes down, supporting you. I'd be like, what's going on here? There is a certain brand, a very unique brand of true value that's not conducive if indeed you are a team principal even. Put your Sir Alex Ferguson cap on. Could you even envision Sir Alex talking about Leo Messi as the greatest? Yeah, Leo Messi is the greatest footballer that I've ever seen. But Sir Alex Ferguson will never say that. Why? Because his boy was Cristiano Ronaldo. He has a dog in this fight because there is such a thing as agency. Which makes me question why Andrea Stella is being so effusive in his praise of Maximilian Verstappen. Of course, this is all true, but there is such a thing as agency. Stella continues on Max Verstappen. He's fast, he's consistent. Even when he was winning race after race last year, people thought it was easy, and it's not that easy to win races. Lest we forget, Lando Norris, Andrea Stella's charge, said once upon a time to Lewis Hamilton, it is easy to win races if indeed you have the fastest car. You'd be forgiven for reading that quote, listening to it back, and thinking that Andrea Stella is taking a dig at Lando Norris. Stella continues, Max Verstappen makes it look easy even when ostensibly he doesn't have the quickest car. Really, quote, really hats off to Verstappen. Well done to Red Bull in supporting this incredible driver. And let me say, we are proud that we were challenging him this season. Listen, there is respect and there is brown nosing. I disagree with this vehemently, particularly if I put my Lando Norris cap on. What are you talking about, Andrea Stella? What are you on about? Are you trying to sign him? Like, do you want to invite him round for Christmas dinner? Yeah, of course, Maximilian Verstappen is a brilliant driver, but I am your charge, sir. I report into you if I am Lando Norris, and I don't want to hear this. Build me back up, surely. We all know Lando Norris has had problems this year, mental fortitude being first and foremost. Absolutely, he hasn't delivered on race starts. Out of 8 times he's dropped it on pole, 7 of them he hasn't made it to the end of the first lap in first. There is a consolidation exercise in there for Lando Norris to exercise, no institute for. defensive posture off the line, switching up through first, second and third, dialing in the requisite amount of revs to nail himself a sexy launch, just like Max Verstappen does all the time. So too Fernando Alonso, but I would push forth the supposition as follows. Lando Norris can fix for these things if, as Andrea Stella terms it, you give him the parameters sufficient within which he can optimise for his performance and continuously improve. Ladies and gentlemen of the F1 jury, comments as aforementioned from Stella, team principal of McLaren F1. That is not optimising for those parameters, I would contend. Stella continues, quote, we just lost a few too many points at the start of the season when Max Verstappen under RB20 was so dominant. But then we were there with Max Verstappen's pace, which is hopefully just the preparation work for a new challenge we want to open next season with, as far as the Drivers' Championship is concerned. Well, why didn't you say that in the first place, Andrea Stella? Because the first stanza, the sentiment and the tone of it does not match the second. Being effusive of praise, yeah, that's the chat for the barbershop or down the pub. Max Verstappen, of course, was brilliant. He was that good. Absolutely one of the greatest peddlers that we've ever seen in history, by dint of one of the greatest showings that we've ever seen in history. Max Verstappen is one of a few drivers in F1 history to win a championship in a non-constructors winning car. RB20 hasn't been the most dominant, but again, for the avoidance of doubt, me and you and we can say that. But for Andrea Stella, with agency, with skin in the game, to be saying that will raise questions with Lando Norris and Oscar Jack. Stella bookends his stanza as follows. But in 2024, well done to Max, very well deserved. And this is where it gets techier than techie things, ladies and gents. He continues, and I quote, the best driver won the championship, and yet we look forward to next year from this point of view. The constructors is open and our focus will be there. I repeat, because this is where it gets techie. Andrea Stella says, and I quote, the best driver won the championship. Of course he is right, and it would be disingenuous for me to argue anything other than what he said there. However, Andrea Stella, if agency is a thing, sir, and you're looking to boost up your driver, Lando Norris, who is clearly suffering from a crisis of confidence, is being detrimented in real time by mental fortitude or lack thereof. If indeed, as you said, Andrea Stella, on the Beyond the Grid podcast, you are invested in giving your team, setting them up within the parameters that they can optimize for their performances in real time, then this, Andrea Stella, being so effusive about a rival driver, one of the most difficult F1 peddling mountains to climb, especially for his old mate Lando Norris, this, Andrea Stella, is not that. Oh, the humanity.